Tax cut measures pass the House, and construction projects are approved by both House and Senate membership on day 4 of the special session. Good evening. Kentucky's legislature held long sessions today as both the House and Senate convened for nearly 3 hours. The House passed measures pertaining to pension and inheritance taxes and construction projects. We pick up coverage as the House begins consideration of the construction projects measure.
Next item of business is orders of the day. Gentleman from Floyd.
Mr. Speaker, I move you, sir, that House Bill 3 be taken its place in order today, read the third time by its title and sponsor only, and placed upon its passage.
Motion made and seconded that House Bill 3 be taken from its place in orders today, read the third time by title and sponsor only, and placed upon its passage. Without objection, so ordered.
House
Clerk,
Bill
please
3,
report.
an act relating to approval of capital projects and bonded indebtedness appropriating funds therefore and declaring an emergency, introduced by Representative Stumbo.
Are you ready to vote on the bill? All in favor of the bill? Gentleman from Franklin, 57.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to say a few words about the proposed Museum of History.
Please proceed.
If this bill is authorized, it will be established here in Frankfort, as you well know. You will not be surprised to know that I favor this bill and this project. My constituents, Franklin Countyans, they want it, and I speak for my constituents. Additionally, Mr. Speaker, I believe that I speak for a larger constituency, a more remote constituency, one that everyone in this chamber, no matter where they were elected, can claim, just as I do. Because, my colleagues, in addition to your hometown and your hometown voters, well known to you, you represent this larger and a distant constituency. The constituency of which I speak is the millions of Kentucky school children, not just those in schools today, but their younger brothers and sisters, and after that, their own children, their grandchildren, and on. It is the thousands of serious teachers, researchers, and students of history, not just Kentuckians. It is the many thousands of American families, some of whom have never seen the bluegrass country, who evidence their ancestry. They are often descendants of those Kentuckians who long ago went west never to return. And it's the unnumbered tourists who will come here each year, drawn by the romance and charm of Kentucky. They look to learn its story. It is all of these who will visit the museum, experience its exhibits, study its records, experience its reminders of the present and the past. These and many others make up a great constituency which has its own stake in the museum, and I presume to speak for them also. The other day, a friend of mine asked me, "What are you doing today?" I told him I was going to work, starting my job as a new representative. He would have joked, thought I was telling a joke probably if I'd said I'm going to make history. But I could have said that. I thought better of it. But looking around this splendid chamber, I sort of wish I had. It's not inappropriate to say that we make history. Legislators like ourselves have met in this chamber for 85 years, pleading, arguing, dealing, making laws that govern the behavior, the education, and business of Kentuckians. Prior to meeting in this chamber, there was that austere small meeting room across the river, the old Capitol. Before that, even ruder quarters, starting in 1792. And every day they met, they made history. Each of those who sat in those chambers, both the crude and the elegant, had their role to play in the history of the Commonwealth, just as we do. They left their print on our present-day Kentucky, just as we will leave them for tomorrow. You and I personally have had a reminder of that history they made. It's a souvenir of an earlier day when we took the oath, which demands that we swear never to have fought a duel or carried a challenge. It seems anachronistic now, but when it became law, it was a most serious purpose, to punish those foolish young men who had made the duel fashionable. The legislators at that time said to them, "If you do, you will never be able to serve the Commonwealth in any office." It is said that the law was a success because it was self-enforcing, and no ambitious young man was willing to forfeit the opportunity to become governor of Kentucky. And perhaps there are even some of those in here today with that ambition. In closing, let me candidly state that my support for the museum goes even beyond my interest in representing my Franklin County constituents, and that larger distant constituency for which I have spoken. Actually, I would like to have my own share of history remembered in the museum. I would like someday to have a school child by the last name of Graham, who, while looking through the carefully maintained records of the Commonwealth, found the roll of the House of Representatives in 1995. Come upon a familiar name and say to his or her companions, that was my great-great-grandfather. Now, exactly what will the Museum of History be? The Museum of History will be the Commonwealth's memory. Mr. Speaker and members of the House, this is a worthy project, and I hope each of you will be inspired to grab your own share of the Commonwealth's immortality and support this bill. Thank you.
Is there further discussion? Are you ready to vote? Question on the passage of House Bill 3. All members in favor vote aye. Those opposed, nay. The roll call machine is now open for your vote. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? Roll call machine showing 79 members voting yea, 15 nay, and the motion is adopted.
Me, the people back home, the lighthouses, the beacons, know what fairness means. And they can recognize when this body is on a collision course with those values. I ask you to seriously consider the action we're about to take today and honor the tenets of fundamental fairness. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and ladies and gentlemen.
Are there other members seeking recognition? For what purpose the gentleman from Franklin 57 arise?
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to make a few comments.
Please proceed, sir.
I sit here today and have an uneasy feeling. And intuitively, I believe there's probably other people here today that may have similar feelings. Now, most of you know I represent Franklin County, the city of Frankfort, the seat of state government. And I take this very seriously. The young people who sit at the front, the pages, many are constituents of mine. And I'm concerned and very sensitive about what the youth hear and observe here in the General Assembly. I once was a teacher in public schools. I've taught civics, and I've taught government. We taught it as I had been taught at Elkhorn High School by a lady that's well revered in this county. We have a school named after her, Little Hearn. She was my teacher in civics. And we did talk about how things are done by the book. And it's very important to understand those things. Since that time, and going on through my adult life, I have learned that the things I tried to teach my class in high school at Georgetown and in Boyle County, that when you get into the real world, things aren't exactly like that. But yet, I think that this term fairness, I don't know where you break it out. What is fair, what really isn't fair. But I don't feel good because I don't like devious behavior. Now, I want to tell you, it's a little story. I think it's humorous. You may or may not. But I picked up after I got through all my education was about working in community. I've had a lot of work in my life, about 18 years, working in communities, trying to bring local school districts to work in cooperation with all agencies and aspects of the community, county government, city government, libraries, extension service, all the people who do things together. And I know that this thing of the ins and the outs, when the ins are in, the in won't stay in. When the outs are out, they want to get in. I mean, that's just basic. I think we understand that. You have the ins and the ends. You know, the outs get in, they become the ins, and their behavior becomes very similar to what they're critical of before they became in. There were twin skunks. One was named in, and one was named out. Now, they were never together. Whenever in was in, out was out. When out was out, in was in, the opposite. They could never stay together. So one day at lunchtime, Mama Skunk told out, who was happened to be in at the time, in was out. She said, out, go out and find in. Bring him in for lunch. So out went out to find in and found him very quickly and brought in. And she said, out, you're a good little skunk. How did you find in so quickly? And Al said it was easy. In stinks. So I know that feeling prevails a lot in what we do. Now, I also have had a coaching background, coaching experience. And I've been beaten badly. I've been full court press and where I couldn't get the ball across the center line. Been beaten almost 70 points one time. I mean, not many people have done it and kept their job. But I've been full court pressed. And I coached a small college team one time that we didn't have our own gym, so we played a lot of games in other states. We go to Florida, Indiana, Illinois, Ohio, and play on the road. Sometimes we'd have officials there. They were local high school officials. There was no way we were going to win that game, regardless of how we played. So what I guess I'm saying here today is I can see both sides of this. I know the realities of life. But I would hope that even though I was outmanned as a coach on many occasions and was full court pressed, yet I want the person who's blowing the whistle to call them the way they're supposed to be. And so I hope, as we go into this biennium, that if we are being devious, we're not being upfront, I hope we will become more open and more honest. If that's the case, I don't know what the situation was. I came here today not really knowing, but I've just heard this discussion and I've just felt compelled to express my feelings. Thank you.